Huai was an 18-year-old with a gentle heart, believing fundamentally in love, loyalty, and trust. He wasn't the life of the party at college, but his appeal stemmed from his genuine kindness and sincerity. His girlfriend Elena shared his age but was his complete opposite. She was lively, adventurous, and fearless in her pursuit of new experiences. Despite their differing natures, they complemented each other, becoming what many considered the golden couple of their college. To Huai, Elena was everything: his first love, his confidant, and his best friend. He showered her with affection, supporting her in every new adventure she wanted to embark on, driven by an innocent, almost enviable love. Elena, while loving Huey, began to feel a gnawing restlessness. Huai's consistent, caring presence, once a source of comfort, now felt too predictable. She yearned for spontaneity, the thrill of the unknown, especially in their intimate moments where Huai's approach seemed too safe, too routine. This growing need for excitement clashed with Huai's stable nature, making his affection feel more like a chain than a comfort. Her thoughts about their relationship darkened, seeking something wild and unrestrained, something Huai couldn't provide. The college organized a grand party to celebrate the end of midterms, an event known for its energy with loud music, free drinks, and a chance to break free from academic stress. Elena was particularly excited, choosing a striking red dress that played to her vivacious personality. Huai, always supportive, complimented her beauty, sensing a distant spark in her eyes that he couldn't quite understand. Together, they prepared to make the night memorable, though for very different reasons. The party was electric, filled with students dancing wildly to the booming music, drinks flowing freely. Initially, Huai and Elena stayed together, enjoying the festivities, but Elena's mind was elsewhere. She noticed Huai's group of close friends, Ryan, Cole, David, Lucas, Brandon, and Jake, near the bar. These friends were known for their rowdiness and confidence, traits that Elena found magnetically attractive in her current state of mind. As the night wore on, her interest in them grew, pulling her away from Hui's side. As the party continued, Elena's thoughts became more daring. She had always harbored a secret fantasy of being with multiple partners, an idea she had kept under wraps. The atmosphere of the party, fueled by alcohol and the adrenaline of the night, tempted her to act on these desires. She began flirting with Huai's friends, her actions subtle yet unmistakable, catching their attention and setting the stage for what was to come. Elena's deception unfolded with calculated precision. She sensed the night's chaotic energy was her cover, her opportunity to act on the fantasy she'd kept hidden. She whispered to Huai with a sweet, convincing tone about needing to fix her makeup with Carla, one of their mutual friends. The lie was simple but effective. Huai, with his unwavering trust in her, nodded understandingly, suggesting she take her time. Once out of Huai's sight, she texted Ryan with a specific code they'd prearranged, signaling him to meet her in the bathroom. She ensured no one else saw her movements, slipping away from the crowd into the dimly lit hallway. In the bathroom, Ryan was already waiting, his grin a mix of anticipation and mischief. Their encounter was brief, charged with the thrill of secrecy and the forbidden. As Ryan left, Elena texted Cole, then David, Lucas, Brandon, and Jake, each one coming in one after the other. Each moment was devoid of connection or affection, purely driven by her quest for something new, something taboo. She managed each encounter with a cold efficiency, her heart racing not with love but with the excitement of living out her fantasy. After each left, she adjusted her appearance, ensuring no sign of her escapades would be visible when she returned to Huai. Huai, left at the party, was in his element, engaging with classmates, laughing, and enjoying the music. Yet, there was an underlying current of anxiety as he occasionally glanced towards the hallway, wondering about Elena's prolonged absence. He noticed his friends were also missing, but dismissed it as coincidence, thinking they might be mingling elsewhere. He was the picture of the supportive boyfriend, making sure drinks were refilled and conversations flowed, all while his heart tugged with a sense of unease he couldn't quite articulate. When Elena returned, her composure was impeccable, her smile bright and reassuring. She wrapped her arms around Huai, whispering how much she missed him, her voice carrying none of the guilt she felt. They danced, laughed, and shared moments that seemed to confirm their status as the college's ideal couple. Yet beneath this facade, the betrayal was set, waiting to unravel their lives. The morning light was gentle, casting a golden hue over Huai's small apartment, but the peace was deceptive. Elena lay asleep, her face serene, oblivious to the storm about to hit. Huai, already awake, watched her, his heart a mix of adoration and an unplaceable unease from the previous night's events. He decided to make breakfast, hoping routine might wash away his anxiety. As he moved around the kitchen, his phone buzzed repeatedly on the counter, a sound that would change everything. He initially ignored it, focusing on the mundane task of coffee and eggs, but the persistence of the notifications drove him to check. Opening the email, his heart skipped a beat at the subject line, "You need to see this." Attached were several video files, each named after one of his friends, Ryan, Cole, David, Lucas, Brandon, and Jake. The accompanying message was like a knife twisting in his gut. "You deserve to know the truth. Last night, while you waited for her, this is what she was doing. Your friends betrayed you, and so did she. These videos are already out there, everyone knows." With a trembling hand, Huai clicked on the first video. It was grainy but unmistakable. Elena in the college bathroom with Ryan, her actions clear. His stomach churned. He felt like he might vomit, but he forced himself to watch one video after another, each a testament to the betrayal he had been blind to. The videos weren't just personal. They were public humiliations, shared across group chats, known to everyone at the college. His world felt like it was collapsing around him. Huai stood frozen, the videos replaying in his mind, but the need to confront Elena overwhelmed him. He went back to the bedroom, his steps heavy with anger. Elena was still asleep, her innocence a stark contrast to the deceit he had just witnessed. He stood over her, his shadow casting across her face. "Elena," he said, his voice trembling with fury. She stirred, opening her eyes, blinking sleepily. "Hui, what's wrong?" she asked, unaware of the storm brewing. Without a word, he shoved the phone in her face, the video playing. Recognition dawned on her, her eyes widening with horror. She sat up quickly, her face paling. "What? Where did you get this?" she stammered, her voice betraying her. "That's all you have to say?" Huai spat out, his voice cracking with emotion. "You're not even going to deny it?" Elena's lips parted, but no denial came. She looked away, guilt written all over her face. "I'm sorry," she whispered, tears forming. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this. I was drunk and it was just a stupid mistake." "A mistake?" Huai's voice rose, shaking with disbelief. "You call that a mistake? 6 times, Elena? 6 of my closest friends? Was I not enough for you?" Elena's tears spilled over, her voice breaking as she tried to explain. "I don't know what to say. I didn't want to hurt you, but I was bored, Huai. I needed something different, something exciting." "Bored?" Huai repeated, his voice breaking. "You were bored, so you decided to humiliate me, to betray me in the worst way possible?" The betrayal, now vividly played out on his phone, ignited a rage within Huai like nothing he'd ever felt. The idea of his peers knowing, the whispers that would follow him in the hallways, the cruel laughter, it all fueled his fury to an uncontrollable level. His love for Elena, once a source of immense joy, had morphed into a seething hatred. He felt like a fool, a naive boy who had trusted too easily. The videos weren't just a personal betrayal, they were a public spectacle, his humiliation broadcasted for all to see. As he stood in his kitchen, the rage within him grew into a storm. His mind was a battleground of emotions, anger, betrayal, humiliation. He paced, his thoughts dark and vengeful. He realized he had never truly known Elena or his friends, the thought gnawing at him like a relentless parasite. The kitchen knife drawer caught his eye, and in that moment it seemed to offer a twisted form of justice or closure. He selected a large knife, the weight of it in his hand a stark contrast to the weight of his shattered trust. With the knife concealed, Huai walked back to the bedroom, his steps deliberate, each one heavy with intent. Elena was still on the bed, her face wet with tears, her apologies barely audible. The sight of her, so serene after such betrayal, only stoked his fire. "Fix it," he said, his voice low and chilling. "You think we can fix this? You think there's anything left to fix?" Elena's eyes caught the glint of the knife, her breath hitching. "Hui, please, put the knife down. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for it to go this far," she pleaded, but her words were empty to him now. "Sorry?" Hui's voice was a mix of disbelief and rage. "You think sorry can undo this? You think I can just move on from this?" In an instant his rage took over. He moved forward, slashing her arm, blood immediately staining the sheets as Elena screamed, trying to scramble away. "Hui, stop, please!" she cried out, her voice breaking, but her pleas were lost to him. He stabbed her in the shoulder, each thrust fueled by his pain, his sense of betrayal. Her screams echoed, but they were soon replaced by weakened, pained gasps. "You destroyed me!" Huai shouted, his voice a mix of sorrow and fury. "You made me a laughingstock! You turned my life into a nightmare!" Elena's struggles diminished, her body weakening, her words incoherent, her eyes filled with fear and regret. Hui, caught in his emotional maelstrom, didn't stop until Elena lay still, her lifeblood seeping into the fabric beneath her, her eyes staring vacantly. In the immediate aftermath, Hui stood over Elena's still form, the room silent except for his ragged breathing. Blood was everywhere, on the sheets, the floor, his hands. The weight of his actions began to sink in, a chilling realization that he was no longer the person he once knew. Panic overwhelmed him. He knew he had to leave, had to escape from what he had done. He dropped the knife, the sound of it hitting the floor echoing in the quiet, and grabbed his phone and wallet. As he hurried out, leaving the door ajar, he was unaware of the neighbor who had heard the screams and seen the blood seeping from under the door. This neighbor, driven by concern or fear, called the police. Huai's escape was brief. He didn't make it far before the police, alerted by the neighbor's call, caught up with him. He was found blocks away, still covered in blood, his expression one of shock and despair. The reality of his situation was inescapable as he was handcuffed and taken into custody, the once warm morning now a backdrop to his darkest moment. At the police station, the environment was stark, the air thick with tension as Huai was processed. When it came time for questioning, there was no need for coercion. He confessed everything, his voice cold and detached, as if recounting a story from someone else's life. He spoke of the betrayal, the videos that had shattered his world, and how his anger had led to the murder of Elena. He admitted his initial plan to seek out his friends, to make them pay for their part in his humiliation, revealing a chilling intent to continue his vengeful path if not for his arrest. His confession was raw, filled with pain but devoid of remorse, a man lost to his own fury and heartbreak. The trial of Huai was a spectacle that captivated the nation, drawing media from across the country to cover what was billed as a modern tragedy of love, betrayal, and revenge. The courtroom was packed daily, with journalists, curious onlookers, and those personally affected by the case. The evidence was laid out with meticulous detail, the crime scene photos, the blood-stained knife, the videos that had ignited Huai's rage and his own chilling confession. Huai's defense attempted to humanize him, painting a picture of a young man in love whose world had been shattered by betrayal. They argued for a crime of passion, citing psychological evaluations that suggested Huai was under extreme emotional duress. They brought up his academic achievements, his previously non-violent nature, and character witnesses who spoke of his kindness and loyalty, trying to show a different side of him to the jury. On the other hand, the prosecution was relentless in their portrayal of Huai as a cold-blooded killer. They focused on the brutality of the murder, playing parts of his confession where he spoke of his intent to seek further revenge on his friends. They argued that the act was not just a moment of passion, but one of calculated anger, pointing out the multiple stab wounds, suggesting premeditation. The courtroom was tense, with emotional testimonies from both sides. When the verdict was read, life imprisonment without parole, there was a palpable silence. Hui showed no reaction, his face a mask of acceptance or perhaps resignation to his fate. The judge's final words emphasized the gravity of the crime, the loss of life, and the need for justice to serve as a deterrent. The public's response was as varied as the human spectrum itself. Some felt a deep sympathy for Huai, viewing him as a victim of extreme emotional manipulation and betrayal. They discussed the psychological impact of such public humiliation, questioning how far one could be pushed before breaking. Sympathetic articles and editorials pondered the ethics of love, trust, and the dark side of human emotions when mixed with betrayal. Conversely, there was significant backlash, with many condemning Huai's actions as unforgivable. They argued that no amount of emotional pain justifies murder, emphasizing personal responsibility and the sanctity of life. Social media was ablaze with debates, hashtags, and memes, some supporting Huai's sentence, others questioning the justice system's handling of mental health issues in such cases. The 6 friends involved in the incident with Elena faced their own public shaming. Their identities were known, and they were vilified online and in local communities, some receiving threats or facing job losses. Elena's actions were dissected, leading to polarizing views. Some saw her as a victim of her own desires, others as a catalyst for the tragedy. The college was never the same after the tragedy. The hallways, once filled with the buzz of youthful energy, now carried the weight of whispers and wary glances. The incident became etched into the college's history, a dark chapter that overshadowed its academic achievements. Student councils and faculty quickly organized forums to discuss the implications of the event, focusing on themes like consent, trust, and ethical behavior in relationships. The campus introduced new policies aimed at protecting student privacy and encouraging open conversations about mental health and personal boundaries. The 6 friends involved in the scandal were either suspended or chose to leave, their absence a constant reminder of the betrayal and violence that had occurred. The college's reputation suffered. Enrollment numbers dipped as families reconsidered sending their children to a place now known for such a scandal. A sense of caution permeated the campus. Social events were less frequent, and when they did occur, they were under much more scrutiny. The story of Hawaii and Elena became a lesson in every freshman orientation, a stark reminder to think before acting, to communicate openly, and to seek help when needed. The grief among the families was profound and multifaceted, touching lives in ways that would never fully heal. Elena's mother, Claudia, took to the public eye to defend her daughter's memory, speaking at various platforms about forgiveness, understanding, and the human capacity for mistakes. She wanted the world to remember Elena for more than her last actions, sharing stories of her daughter's kindness, dreams, and the life she lived before that fateful night. However, Elena's father withdrew into himself, unable to face the media circus that had become their life, his grief silent but no less intense. On Hawaii's side, his mother, Marissa, became a frequent visitor to the prison, her visits marked by tears and a desperate need to understand how her loving son could commit such an act. She spoke of him as someone who had been pushed beyond his limits, advocating for better mental health support for young adults. Her public statements were filled with pain but also a plea for compassion. Hawaii's father, however, was consumed by shame and guilt, choosing silence over confrontation, his once proud posture now bowed by the weight of his son's actions. The families of both Hawaii and Elena were left to navigate a landscape of loss, public scrutiny, and the painful task of rebuilding their lives. Life behind bars for Hawaii was a stark contrast to everything he had known before. The walls of the prison were not just physical barriers but also emotional ones, severing him from the life he once knew. The vibrant, kind-hearted young man was now a figure of solemnity, his days dictated by the monotonous routine of prison life. His cell was small, a place where time seemed to stretch into eternity, and the only view was that of concrete and iron bars. Hawaii refused to engage in any of the rehabilitative programs offered. He didn't join in the yard activities, shunned communal meals, preferring the isolation of his cell over the company of others. His interactions were minimal, his words few, and when he did speak, it was with a resignation that spoke volumes of his inner torment. He was known among the inmates not for his crime but for his silence, earning him the nickname the Quiet One. His story, however, was well known. Whispers of his past circulated among the inmates, a tale of love, betrayal, and irreversible actions. The letters from his mother, Marissa, came regularly, each one a beacon of her love and hope for his redemption, but Hawaii rarely read them. Instead, they piled up, unopened, a testament to the distance he had placed between himself and his previous life. He spent much of his time in reflection, the weight of his actions a constant companion, his mind replaying the events that led him there, seeking answers to questions that could never be answered. The Hawaii who believed in love, loyalty, and trust was gone, replaced by a man living with regret and the harsh reality of his sentence. The case of Hawaii and Elena didn't just end with the trial, it sparked a nationwide conversation that touched on deep-seated issues within society. The debate was multifaceted, covering everything from the psychology of betrayal to the ethics of revenge in human relationships. Legal scholars, psychologists, sociologists, and even ethicists weighed in, creating a discourse that was as much about understanding human behavior as it was about critiquing the justice system. One major discussion was around the concept of crimes of passion versus premeditated murder. Hawaii's defense had argued for emotional distress, highlighting how public shaming and betrayal could lead someone to act out of character. This led to broader conversations about mental health support for young adults, the pressures of modern relationships, and the impact of social media on personal lives. The media played a significant role, with talk shows, documentaries, and podcasts delving into every aspect of the case, questioning societal norms, the privacy of individuals, and the responsibilities we hold towards each other in relationships. There was a debate on whether the punishment fit the crime, considering Hai's previous character and the circumstances that led to his actions. This case became a study in human complexity, love's darker sides, and how society should handle such tragedies. Over time, the story of Huay and Elena transcended into something beyond a mere crime story. It became a cautionary tale. It was told in classrooms, discussed in therapy groups, and referenced in literature on human behavior and psychology. The narrative served as a warning about the dangers of unchecked emotions, the fragility of trust, and the profound consequences of betrayal and revenge. It highlighted the importance of communication, empathy, and the understanding that love, while powerful, can lead to destruction if not tempered with wisdom and compassion. The tale was a reminder of how quickly lives can unravel when personal fantasies or desires are pursued without regard for others, or when hurt turns to hate. Their story was used to teach about the ethics of relationships, the need for emotional intelligence, and the moral boundaries one should not cross, even in the face of personal pain. If you found this narrative gripping, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into stories that explore the human condition. Your support helps us bring more thought-provoking content to you. Now, I'd like to engage with you, our viewers. What are your thoughts on this story? Do you believe that love can justify extreme actions? Or do you think there's a line that should never be crossed? How should society address the emotional fallout of betrayal in relationships? And considering Huay's transformation, what does this say about the capacity for change or redemption in human beings? Leave your comments below, and let's keep this conversation going. If you have questions or want to explore any aspect of this story further, feel free to ask. We're here to discuss, learn, and grow together. Remember to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our discussions, and share this video to spread the conversation. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to hearing your insights.